All right. I have a friend, and she's not super tidy. She doesn't live here anymore, but she'll remain nameless in case you ever meet her for some reason. She's not tidy. And when she lived here, her bedroom literally looked like a tornado had hit it. I mean, it was just like, you could barely walk through it. There was just it was stuff everywhere. We found socks everywhere. So she didn't like that it was this messy, but she would walk in and it would just be so overwhelming to her how messy it was. She didn't even know where to start, so she just didn't. She would just shove stuff over and go to bed. and she knew that it shouldn't be like that, but she didn't know how to do it. She didn't know where to even start or how to begin or how to make it organized. And so my friend Jill's one of those people, when she's cooking, if 3 crumbs fall on the floor, she will not rest until she finds all 3 crumbs. Like, I'm not like that. Jill's very tidy. So she asked Jill and I to come. And you know that old show, Clean Sweep? Anyone remember Clean Sweep? That was such a satisfying show. They would come into this place that was a mess. I'm not talking hoarders. It's not hoarders. Like, it wasn't like that level. But they would come into someone's house that was just a mess, and they would literally take everything out of the house and put it on the front lawn, and the people would have to sort through it, trash, donate, keep. And then while they were out there doing that, was that the one with Ty Pennington? Or was that a different one? But anyways, the Clean Sweep crew would be cleaning and redesigning and making it organized on the inside. And then they would bring in what was to be kept and put it back in the house. So that's what we did with my friend. We took all of her stuff into another room. Everything but like the bed and the dresser, basically, we took out. We even emptied all the drawers and took all of her clothes out. We cleaned, we dusted, we reorganized the furniture. We came up with nice organization systems in her bedroom, and then we put everything that was to be kept back in this nice, and she's like, oh, this is so wonderful. And it was great for her. And I went up months later, and it wasn't as clean as we left it, but it was so much better. She just felt so much better. And the whole time, she's like, I knew I wanted it to be clean. She's like, I just was so overwhelmed. I didn't even know how to do it. Like, it's too much. Okay? So I think sometimes we get this way emotionally. And so we've been talking about the Great Commission, and I'm reading this, and I went through this a month ago, and I was like at the beginning of January, and I'm like, what am I going to teach? And I kind of broke it down. I was like, this week I'm going to teach some doubted. So I'm looking up doubted, and I was like, those jerks, how could they possibly doubt? Those disciples, how could they possibly doubt? They just watched him die, and they see him standing in front of him. Now Matthew doesn't have the whole doubting Thomas scene, but other ones do. So we know that's already happened. They've seen him in the room. They've put their hands in the holes in his hands. So I'm like, how could they possibly doubt? So I'm looking up what does some doubted mean? And it turns out that word doubted is distazo. It's Greek. It's a word I can't pronounce. Distazo. It can mean doubt. It can also mean hesitate. And so let's look at the verse here. In Matthew 28, it says, the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus told them to go. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted, distazo. And then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go. Make disciples of the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Teach them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you to the very end of the age. Now, I think, this is my interpretation of what I've been reading, and this makes more sense to me than they doubted. I don't think they doubted that he was real. I think they were overwhelmed and didn't even know how. Think about, you just watched the guy who's been your best friend for 3 years be murdered, unjustly tried and murdered, and now he's standing in front of you, and he's the Messiah. Their whole life, the Jews were waiting for the Messiah. And now the Messiah is their friend, their buddy. And they deserted him. He's back to life. I imagine they are so overwhelmed with emotion that they just don't even know what to do with themselves. Like my untidy friend, they're like, I'm like happy, and I'm also scared, and I'm overwhelmed, and oh my gosh, you're the Messiah, and like, I don't know how to act. Like, if you ever like been so overwhelmed with emotion you don't know how to act, like you say something really stupid, and then you laugh about it, and you don't think it's funny. You're just like, you don't know how to respond, so you laugh. You know? Or like you're so overwhelmed that you just like kind of freeze, and you don't say or do the thing you really want to because you're so like, oh, I don't know what to do in this situation. And I kind of think that's a little more of where the disciples were. I think they were so overwhelmed with emotion, joy that he's alive, amazement that he's the Messiah. I mean, remember, this is like old show throwback. Remember that show? It might not be old. It might still be on. Undercover Boss, right? So like, Jesus is their undercover boss, right? Like, here's like the king of all the world is their boss, is like their friend, the guy they've been working side by side with, you know? And so they're just, I imagine and they just worshiped him. They've just gotten done, well, they are worshiping him. They're like, you're amazing. I don't know if I should like fall down and like bow or hug you or high five you or joke and, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made that crass joke in front of you. And like, just like, they've got so much going on that they probably were like, I don't even know what to do now, right? So we see that word distazo one other time in the New Testament, and it's when Peter walks on water. If you guys remember the whole Peter walking on water thing, in case you don't, here's the Bible verse. It's also in Matthew 14. They're in the boat. Jesus is like, hey guys, go, I'll meet you in whatever, Capernaum. Like, go get in the boat, I'll see you over there. So they get in the boat and they're rowing, and it's nighttime, and Jesus like hangs out and talks to God, and he's like, oh, I'm going to take a shortcut. I'm just going to walk across the lake. And so they're in the boat, and they see someone walking on the water, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's a ghost. They're freaking out because they don't understand what they're seeing. It's not, what they're seeing is not jiving with what they understand the laws of physics to be, right? And so they're kind of scared, and Jesus is like, hey guys, no, it's cool, it's me, it's Jesus. And Peter says, Lord, if it really is you, tell me to come out to you on the water. And Peter got out of the boat, and he walks on the water towards Jesus. And when he saw the wind, he was afraid, he began to sink, and he cried out, Lord, save me, help. And immediately Jesus reaches out his hand and catches him and says, you of little faith, why did you doubt? Distazo. He's walking on water, and Jesus says, you have little faith. The dude is walking on water, and Jesus says he doesn't have enough faith. Like, none of the other disciples got out of the boat, but Peter did, you know? But, like, what happened, I imagine, is Peter's like, he's like, cool, I'll do it, Jesus. He's walking. And then he's like, holy crap, I'm walking on water. Like, what? And he starts thinking of the physics of it, right? He starts looking down and seeing that there's nothing below him. And the wind is blowing. He's like, oh, my gosh, what is happening? And he pauses to like process and think about what's happening and to like, am I really able to do this? Like, what happens if I stop doing this? And he starts to sink. And he cries out, and Jesus helps him. And this makes me think of, you know, when you learn to ride a bike, if you ever taught someone to ride a bike, like, what's the number one rule of riding a bike? Don't stop, right? Like, keep pedaling. Like, you don't fall down if you keep pedaling. Like, Peter, don't stop, keep pedaling, you know? And so I feel like when the disciples saw Jesus when they saw him in Galilee, they're like so overwhelmed by all of it. Jesus is my friend. Jesus is the Son of God. The undercover boss thing, like, is this really possible? How is this possibly happening? I want to worship you, and I want to hug you, and I want to high five you, and I don't know if you're now mad at me because I deserted you. Like, I imagine they, like my friend, were so overwhelmed that they were crippled with it. They were just like, I don't know what to do. And I think that's what they meant in the Great Commission. Not that they doubted that Jesus is real. Not that they doubted that what was happening was real. They were just so overwhelmed that they hesitated because they didn't know how to move forward. I mean, think about this. They're like, I've just been taught by the greatest Yoda of all time. Jesus is the greatest. Ninja Master, Mr. Miyagi, Yoda. Like, he is the biggest teacher. He is the king of all creation. He's the guy who spoke and light happened. Like, he is the Word. When God spoke, Jesus is the Word, right? Like, Jesus made light happen. And they're standing in the presence of that guy. And they're like, holy Toledo, I don't know what to do here, right? And so, and also they're probably like, I get this way. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to now I have all this knowledge. I got to change the world. What am I going to do first? I don't know where to go first, and I don't know what to start with first. And Jesus is like, chill. I'm going to tell you. Let me just tell you what you're going to do first. It's fine, okay? Like, I've got all authority, so now you're going to go. You're going to make disciples. You're going to baptize, and you're going to teach people. And don't worry, I'm with you. Okay, when my dad taught me to ride a bike, he didn't just push me down the hill and be like, go ahead, see you at the bottom. He ran beside me and held on to my little banana seat. You know, like with our friend, our untidy friend, we didn't just be like, well, here's a checklist of how you should fix your room. We went in there and we helped her. You know, we did the grunt work and just gave her chunks that she could handle to do. And Jesus does the same thing with us. He's now like, here, I've given you this big dream. Go on, have fun, bye. He's with us all the time as we walk through it. So whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, like you don't even know possibly where to start in your life, and this might not even be your mission. It might just be how to get through the day with 3 kids who are yelling and screaming and crying and they don't want to go to sleep. You know, it might be like, I've got so much going on in my life, and I don't even know where to start. I've got to cook, and I've got to clean, and I've got to do this, and I've got to go here, and oh my gosh, like, I don't know how to get through this day. And Jesus is like, it's all right. I'm right here. One step at a time. Roxanne knows this. One step at a time, right? One step at a time. He's like, I got this. One step at a time. Don't look down. Don't hesitate. Just keep pedaling. I'm going to get you through this. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, know that the Lord is with you, just one step at a time. He will help you. And also when you're thinking about your purpose, like I'm one of those people, I'm constantly like, am I making a difference? Am I helping people? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And God's like, Stephanie, take a breath. I got this. Like, one step at a time. I one time, for a while, I really thought the Lord was going to send me to Africa to like teach children about health, because AIDS is huge. 1 in 3. Back in the 90s, 1 in 3 people in Africa had AIDS, had HIV/AIDS. And so I really thought for a while that the Lord was going to send me to Africa, and I was like, okay, I can do this. I don't know how I'm going to get my dog there. I'm going to have to sell my house. My parents are not going to like it. I'm going to lose all my friends. But Lord, if this is what you want, I'll do it. And it was kind of overwhelming, but I was kind of excited and kind of overwhelmed. And now I realize, Lord's like, I think that was for me my Abraham and Isaac moment. You know, of saying, all right, Lord, like I'm willing to give it all up and move to Africa if that's what you want. But instead, the Lord moved me to Ludlow, which is way easier than moving to Africa. I could bring my dog here. My parents can visit. So, you know, like, it was cool but overwhelming to think that I would move to Africa. And the Lord's like, one step at a time, I'm with you. And he brought me here instead, where I can still make a difference. It is not my job to change the whole world. It is my job to change my little sphere of where I am one step at a time. And maybe someday I will be like a Mother Teresa. You know, Mother Teresa changed the world. We talked about her a week or so ago. But she didn't change the world when she was 18. She changed the world over the course of her 80-some years. You know, one step at a time, and then the Lord built momentum around what she was doing, and people came around her and helped her with that. She didn't have to single-handedly change the world. He gave her one step at a time and prepared her for where she was going. So my challenge to you this week is to ask the Lord, where am I not taking one step at a time? Where am I hesitating? Lord, help me to keep pedaling. Help me to ask for help when I need it. Help me to see what I need to get through what I need to get through. And all of God's children said, amen. All right. Altar call. Oh, wait, there we go. If any of you have not given yourself over to the Lord and you would like to come down and do that, if any of you need prayer and you want to come up to me after church, I would gladly pray over anybody after church. So during the altar call, you guys can come on down and do that.